all this week I've kind of just woken up and like, all right, let's do this. Right now that it's sunny, I'm feeling a little groggy.
Wow.
I'm not saying I want to fall asleep during this interview, but my
But you
bed,
could.
yeah,
You
my
could
bed's
if you.
just right there. I could go under the covers. So if
Well,
you hear pauses, you know what's happening. I'm going to sleep.
get comfy, snuggle up.
In the cool of the evening when everything is getting kind of groovy. In the cool of the evening when everything is getting kind of groovy. I call you up and ask you if you like to go with me and see a movie. First you said no, you got some plans for tonight, and then you stop and say, all right.
Welcome, everybody, to the podcast. This is episode number 367. And of course, I am, as always, your host, Chris. Welcome, everybody, to a fantastic episode today. Of course, if you like what you're hearing, if you like me, feel free to follow me on the online on Instagram and Twitter, both at Casting for Two. If you like the show, you like what I'm doing, you like the guests, feel free to leave me a review on any platform that you listen to this podcast on. I would super appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much all the shop talk I got for today. But you know what? Since I'm out of shop talk, there's only one thing left to do. And that is to start this episode with my wonderful guest today, who is a phenomenal actor, dancer, just performer, just person in general. Celestine Rae is on the podcast. And I'm not exaggerating when I say she might be one of the sweetest people I've ever met. But she is probably one of the sweetest people I've ever met. I'm just gonna throw that out there. See where that goes. But you know what? Let's get into this episode. I'm done talking. So enjoy my chat with Celestine. So Celestine, take it away.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's a rainy New York morning,
Yeah. I'm in Texas right now, and
Oh.
everyone's freaking out because it's cool weather.
I heard that it's colder there than it is in New York right now. That's crazy.
That's not how it should be. If we got snow and you guys didn't, something's wrong.
True. Climate change is real. But
It is.
also, I'm not complaining about not having snow because I do not like the winter.
Gotcha. Have you been an East Coast person pretty much, a majority of your life?
I have. I was born in Philadelphia, and I've been in New York for the past 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I love New York in the spring, summertime. I love the East Coast, from about May to about September.
Yeah.
But right around this time is when I feel myself wanting to hibernate. And even though I was born here and on the East Coast, I don't feel like I'm naturally supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Have you been in Texas?
Yes. I was born in El Paso.
Okay.
But we moved to Oregon when I was a wee lad.
Okay.
So I consider Oregon my real home.
Oh, I see.
And going from dry heat to having seasons and rain and snow, that was just an awesome experience for me.
I can imagine something different, a little bit of change. Whenever I talk to friends who live in LA, they're always like, listen, be happy that you have rain and seasons and things aren't always the same. And I'm always like, I could do without a winter, though. I really could.
Oh,
But
well,
maybe just for a little while.
right, right. Well, there was one year I lived in Chicago,
Hmm.
and I was
Oh,
super excited because I wanted to experience a Chicago winter because I'm a bigger guy, and I love the cold.
you like the
Like,
cold, you like
oh,
layering up. Okay.
oh my gosh, yeah. Well, yes, I'm that guy who, if it's snowing, I'll go outside in shorts and
Oh my
sandals to the
God.
mailbox. But going there kind of gauged my whole cold meter. If I'm not breathing in any ice, then it's not cold.
Oh my goodness. See, yeah, I don't think I could survive Chicago. I would be like, what is life? I have to get out of here.
I'll just stay inside all day.
Yeah, I would. In bed, under the covers. It's harder for me to get up too. When it gets cold, I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't want to get up. I don't want to get out from under the covers.
I,
But
again, I feel like the Oregon in me is just if it's raining or dark and gloomy, I'm like, all right, what are we doing today? What do we got to do?
I
If
see.
it's sunny, like I just want to stay inside.
Oh, that's so interesting. I love how different people are. I'm like, the sun is just like my best friend. I'm like, yes, it's sunny out. What am I doing? I have more energy. Total opposite. That's so funny.
All this week, I've kind of just woken up and like, all right, let's do this. Right now that it's sunny, I'm feeling a little groggy.
Wow.
I'm not saying I want to fall asleep during this interview, but my
But you
bed,
could.
yeah,
You
my
could
bed's
if
just
you
right there. I could go under the covers. So if
well,
you hear pauses, you know what's happening. I'm going to sleep.
get comfy, snuggle up.
But yeah, no, I used to do the podcast back when I didn't have a computer, just a laptop. I would just lay in bed and just chat with people.
Hmm.
I had to stop that.
Why? Because were you actually falling asleep on people?
Only one time. I would catch myself doing like a head nod, and I
Hmm.
was just okay. No, I
I
need a
have to get up.
desk.
Yeah.
I need an actual desk. I need to be an adult.
Oh, adult life. So hard.
The worst. But so this is a loose show, as you can see.
Yeah.
But I am very curious. I like to ask big questions and little questions.
Okay.
So a little question for you.
Hmm.
What does acting mean to you?
Oh, that's the little question.
That is the smallest question.
What does acting mean to me? Um, it keeps evolving.
Hmm.
The longer I do it, the more it changes for me, and the meaning of it deepens, I think. And I think also it becomes less about me and my ego and more about um, the people that it's affecting,
Hmm.
who the story is for. I think acting connects me to a part of humanity that I might not otherwise get the opportunity to explore. And I
Hmm.
think that it really shapes the way that I see the world. I think I'm way more open-minded than I could possibly have ever been.
Hmm.
And I think that it also it's connection, like the way that I've been able to connect to other human beings, working with them, has just kind of been the greatest gift that I could ever receive. So
Hmm.
it's such a blessing to be able to do it, to be able to be paid to do it, to be hired to like literally like to play.
Yeah.
That's what I get paid for, and to have people that are affected by that is amazing. So it means all of those things.
And how long have you been acting?
I guess I'd say the past. I mean, I was always performing in school plays as a kid. So like this started out like I started out being like a dance and theater kid when I was very young, and I was always performing in plays. I was in Little Abner and Bye Bye Birdie and Oliver and school plays, and I was that kid that I was that crazy kid that would like. I lived in an apartment complex for a while
Uh-huh.
when I was younger, all the way up until I was in eighth grade. In eighth grade, And I was that kid that would like knock on all the kids' doors and be like, come outside, it's time for dance class and theater. And we're doing plays. Like, and I would boss them around and direct them. So like I've always been doing it, but I think professionally probably for the last 10 years.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you still do dance to this day?
I still take class. Yeah, I'm not dancing as hardcore as I used to.
Yeah.
No. But I mean, I miss performing at the level I used to, but it's intense. It's a dancer's lifespan is
Yeah.
not forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen movies and documentaries on, dancers and stuff like that. And it's just the level of commitment and discipline you have to have is uh, it's crazy, but also like I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It shaped me as a person. Absolutely. It shaped my work ethic. It shaped my discipline. It also shaped a little unhealthy like behavior in terms of like perfectionism, like things that I'm
mm,
still like working through in therapy. Like, okay, you don't have to be, because as a dancer, you're taught this kind of like level of, I mean, you never, it's similar to being an actor. Like you never reach the end point, but
right.
with dance, there is this approach that is a level of like you're trying to reach perfection. With acting, that doesn't exist. That's why I think
Mm,
acting is probably a more healthy art form for me in terms of like my personality. But dance definitely shaped me and shaped my work ethic. And it's my first artistic love. It really is. Like I still get chills when I watch people perform. And every time I watch, like I follow Misty Copeland on Instagram, and she just like inspires me every time I see something else that she's doing. I'm just like, oh, she's so incredible.
and you mentioned it before about shaping your discipline, but whenever you have an acting project come up, does your do you use kind of your dance background to inform whatever character you're at? And it doesn't have to be obviously like the physical dancing part, but just everything that you've learned.
um, yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, I feel like if I'm going into a character that is type A, then I definitely can pull from my dance
Yeah.
background. But I think in terms of like working on the material, and I am that actor who believes in like a lot of rehearsal. I am that
Oh, okay.
actor
Yeah.
who, when I'm on set, I find the person that I'm in the scene with and I'm like, hey, can we run lines? And I'm like, I'm chasing people down and being like, what do you think about this part? Like I'm that kind of, I have that obsessive compulsive, like we need to keep working on this. What do you think? I just keep kind of trying to excavate the material as much as I can. So there is that obsessive compulsive nature that I think comes into play for sure.
It is, and has there ever been a time where I guess you were, doing your research on a character, but you just weren't connecting with that character?
Hmm. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the parts that I've played for usually that happens, I think, when I'm auditioning, where I'm
Mm,
just like, I don't know, but I'm trying to find it. And especially because with auditioning, you get maybe 2 days to work on
right.
material. So sometimes you're just not going to get it. You're just going to do the best that you can when you go in the room. I do think though that the parts that I've been cast in, I've always been able to find a connection. So and I think there's something, I'm a spiritual person. I think that every part that I've played has come into my life for a reason.
Hmm.
And so it's changed me after I've stepped into the role. So I don't think that I've done anything where I was just totally not connected. I mean, unless when I was in theater school, maybe, and definitely auditions, there's stuff that I get that I'm like, oh, I don't even know how to approach this. Let me learn the lines real quick.
It's always because I don't have an acting career at all, but I have done like friends projects and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I remember for me, I was auditioning for a drug dealer,
Mm.
and if you see me, I look nothing like a drug dealer. I'm always happy, and so I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So I just went in with like a gravelly voice,
Hmm.
and I knew they weren't. Like I knew like I wasn't gonna get it. No.
Well, it's so interesting though, because like I love going against what our pursuit, like what the assumption of what a drug dealer would look like. It's
Yeah.
so much more interesting to play against a stereotype, because there's a lot of people that are drug dealers who are super unassuming, that don't look like what we see on TV. And we
Right.
kind of get locked into these ideas of like, this is what this character should be or should look like. And so whenever I'm approaching a role, I try really hard to kind of like go against that. And sometimes, you know what they're looking for. They're looking for the stereotype, and it's still interesting to kind of find moments to play against it, to kind of bring the humanity back into the character and push, resist the temptation of stereotypes. Otherwise, what's the point in having like different shows? We might as well just all watch, 3 shows and have the same, have the same kind of characters on each different one.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's so funny because with all that variety out in the world, especially when it comes to streaming sites and even more streaming sites and all that good stuff, there's so much content. So,
Oh
yeah,
my God, yeah.
Okay, you've ignited the fire, and I want to be a drug dealer on any of these shows.
Yes, you can
I
absolutely
will
be a
do
drug dealer. You absolutely can.
I
Who's
just
to
want to
say
make my
you can't?
parents proud.
You don't have to have a gravelly voice to be a drug dealer. Just be you.
All right.
You can sell drugs tomorrow in real life if you wanted to. So there's your inspiration.
I'm so glad I'm picking up these career goals from
Yes.
this.
I believe in you.
I always felt lost in life, but now I know
Here you
my
go.
true calling. Dang, I had a question, but now now I got drugs.
You're too busy thinking about your drug dealing.
I'm thinking about my drug empire now. How can I spin this podcast into a drug selling business?
Oh God. Oh.
I was pro legalization of marijuana. Now I don't want it legal because that's one less thing for me to sell.
Listen, facts. Well, I mean,
I don't want to sell legal weed. I want to sell the illegal weed.
it's kind of all the same thing when you really look at it.
Yeah, it kind of is. That's fine.
I mean, you can make a lot of money off of the legalization of it too. There's a lot of people out here making money.
It's so fun. So when this is a weird tangent, but when weed went legal in Oregon, so many of my friends that I used to work with started dispensaries.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was just you were ready to go. Like that was so quick. Where
that was really, I think some people really kind of follow. I don't want to call it the trend, but yeah, the trends, and they are looking for like the next investment. I know a lot of people who started or know people who started dispensaries too, and I'm just like, I'm still catching up to all of this.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to get slightly political and say, and I think that it's crazy that we have people still in prison. A lot of Black and brown people in particular still in prison for the selling of weed, when now we have all of this legalization and dispensaries coming out. And it's just like, I'm very confused about what's happening right now. So I'm just like, I don't know how to, like, 'cause it sounds good, but then I'm like, yeah, but then there's still people that are serving time for this. So I can't make sense of that. But that's my tangent.
Yeah, no, it's totally understandable. I know Chicago or Illinois passed a law that won't go into effect now, but it will soon. That they will start releasing people who had, these lower end, marijuana charges.
Charges,
so.
right? Yeah,
So
which is good. Hopefully that continues. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. And I really did forget the question I was going to ask you.
We got all the way off track.
It was about acting, of course, but it's gone. It's gone forever. But I'm curious, as a person who has been acting for a while and doing auditions, I gotta think you have a bad audition story.
Do I? I feel like I probably have one
Yeah.
once a
Now.
month. No,
Oh, geez, no.
no. I've had some weird auditions. I've definitely had auditions where the room felt very cold, and I was kind of just like, what's happening here? Do
Yeah.
do you want me to be here, or do you not want me to be here? And I'm trying to think of like a funny or strange audition. I definitely had an audition where, and I don't know that this would fly anymore, but I had an audition once, and the director asked me to improv with this
Mm.
other actor. The other actor in the room was the reader, so they weren't in the scene, but the director asked me to improv with this other actor. And by the end of it, I just grabbed him and kissed him and totally made out with him, and I got the role. And I'm like,
Hey.
I don't think that would fly now. I don't
Right.
think I'd be able to get away with that. But that's where the scene kind of took us. And
Yeah.
and I mean, the improvisation did, and it's kind of interesting because, when you're, and that was like a strange audition, because usually with a reader, you're not getting that invested. You're not like doing
Right.
improvisation. So this director was really interested in kind of just, as he called it, let's play. He was interested in playing, and that's where it took us. But I got the role.
So,
And the other
well,
actor wasn't complaining, thank God.
yeah, there we go. Yeah, he's like, hey, all right.
He was totally down for it. And I also think, I would, as an actor, when you're working with somebody, you can feel out whether, we were just going with it. So it wasn't like I
Mm.
kind of like forced myself. Oh, Jesus, this conversation.
uh,
It was it was a consensual
right.
improvisation.
It was acting. Well, I'm curious. How are you with improv?
Um, well, I studied Meisner training and
Oh, okay, yeah.
among others, but I definitely focused a lot on Meisner training, and there's a lot of improvisation that goes into that particular technique. So, um, yeah, I think I've done a lot of really interesting work. I would love to do more improvisation that leans toward the comedy side, because I think
Mm.
in my training it always went it always went to this like super dramatic dark place, and I
Right.
love drama, but I think it would be really fun to kind of do some more improvisation that involves some comedy.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like comedy and improv is something that just fascinates me.
Hmm.
I'm fascinated with the quickness of it,
Oh yeah.
and I'll watch these comedy improv groups, and I'm just oh my gosh, it blows my mind with how good some of them are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even the
Oh, well,
bad ones.
even the bad. I mean, there's a synergy that kind of
Yeah.
gets created, and that's kind of what I was talking about in terms of like that audition. Like, there's a synergy, and there's an energy, and you can't really articulate what it is, but you're connected, and so you're just going
Mm.
with the other person, and wherever they go, you follow, and that's the thing in improv. You always say yes, so you don't resist where the scene is going. You keep following it. You keep following your partner, and they keep following you, and yeah, that's why I think it gets to be so quick like that.
And for you, is there a type of role and or character that you would love to play?
Hmm.
And you can't say drug dealer.
That role is taken. Got
Yeah, that's
it.
taken. That's my role. Get out of here.
I'll be waiting in the wings, waiting in the wings.
When I eventually fail, I'm like, all right, you
Right,
can be a drug dealer.
right. That actually would be kind of fascinating, though, if I was like playing some like woman boss kingpin, like. I mean, I don't. This kind of keeps changing for me and evolving over time, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I love playing really powerful embodied characters that also are like really flawed. Like, I love
Mm.
playing these characters that seem really strong and then have this like weakness which is most, if when a character is written well, like most characters have a weakness. They have something that is their kind of like their portal into humanity, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, like something that where I'm just like, I love to kind of play with like masculine and feminine energies. And I don't know that I have like a role where I'm like, this is the role that I want to play. But I love the idea of like being like just kind of like boss in charge of things, really powerful, but then also like really weak in certain areas and just really, really conflicted about something where there's like this huge conflict where this character is trying to navigate the world from a very conflicted place. It just roles like that always really attract me or get me very excited. Yeah.
Okay. And for the people at home who would like to keep up with everything that you're doing, follow you on social media, all that good stuff, where can they do all that?
Well, I am on Instagram, Celestine Rae, and I'm on Twitter, Celestine R. But Celestine Rae, yeah.
There you go. Celestine, thank you so much for chatting with me.
Of course.
You've given me so much to think about my life, and this is my last podcast episode because I need to work on my empire now.
Oh, wow.
So,
I'm closing out the podcast. Oh, my
You're
goodness.
closing it up. Yep. And it's all because of you. When I'm a big drug dealer at
when you have your weed dispensary.
when I'm at the drug equivalent of the Oscars, you are going to be in my speech, okay?
I would love that. And listen, you're going to be in mine.
Oh.
Just give me, maybe 5%. I'll just take 5% for the inspiration.
You know what? I'll give you 6. All right.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
No, but really, anytime you want to come back and chat, just say the word. All right.
Awesome. It's been so great talking to you. Have a good one.
You too, and have a good rest of your dark and gloomy day.
Thank you. Enjoy the sunshine, or try to.
I'll try. All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.